This is a Danger Entertainment podcast. DangerEntertainment.net. Danger Entertainment Podcast Network.
Geek Speak, the definitive 365 cut. These are the meaningless ramblings of a Scottish we-done whore and a pissy ex-video store clerk. Their ongoing mission is to set right the movie wrongs. They're gonna need a bigger podcast.
Hello everybody and welcome to the 365 Flicks podcast. Need to get like a little bit of an echo in my microphone because that would sound so much better, like podcast.
No.
This is an indie talk. We've got a very, very, very special indie talk coming up for you.
Wait, we do indie talks still?
Yeah, we still do indie talks. We do great indie talks. We are the kings of indies. Yeah, that's a thing.
Sure.
We could do that. We'll just claim
We
it.
are more of a king than a certain broken bastard.
Who's that?
Brad.
Oh, Brand. Do not talk to me about that. We dealt with
We've
this.
done
We
that,
dealt
we've
with
done
this.
that.
So, anyway, this is an indie talk. My name is Kevin, the pissy ex-video store clerk, and you are?
I am Kris. I am Scottish.
You are?
I am a Whedon whore.
You are. You are a very big whore. What do we have coming up for the listeners, Kris?
Well, Kevin, we have got returning guests to talk about themselves
This time, yeah.
instead of Marvel. Kris the Fuck Johnson.
Kris the Fuck Johnson. And this man came on to talk about 3 movies that he has hitting this summer. That's right, 3 movies he has hitting this summer. One of which you'll have heard us talk about many times. Black Sight. He played Erebus in Black Sight. We spoke to him back when we were on the set. Remember that, Kris? Remember being in those dank-ass tunnels?
Do.
Yeah, those dark, wet, dingy tunnels.
Alright, you're turning me on, stop it.
Yeah, it was quite turn on me. And we met him down there, and we did a cheeky little interview with him. But it was always a case of we need to get Kris Johnson on the podcast properly to talk about everything and anything. And then we railroad him into a Marvel episode.
Again, as I said, that was my bad.
It was a little bit.
Yeah.
You did go hammer and tongue on that, man.
Well, Spider-Man was on the bloody screen, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
go geek.
Jizz. Oh, go geeky, right, you went there.
Well.
And he also has, Black Sight is currently being released in America. It's going to be hitting the UK
Which, by
shows.
the way, fucking hell, awesome.
Yeah, big Tom Payton movie finally making the big bucks over in America. Yeah.
Something.
That was cringy. He also has another movie coming out, hopefully very, very soon. It's had its distribution release signatures. People have signed on it and they're going to distribute it. That fell off. 24 Little Hours is coming very soon. Paul Knight movie. We've spoken about that a few times.
We have.
Finally got to meet Paul and Diane.
I met Diane. I didn't get to meet Paul.
He was cool. He was awesome. We got talking a little bit, and then we got talking even more to Diane, who is just one of the...
Yeah, Diane's great.
She's one of the nicest people we've met while doing this.
She's up there with Mike.
Yeah, oh, Mike.
Bless him.
What are you going to do? I mean, he's just all kinds of lovely.
All right.
And the other movie, I Love My Mum, which we reviewed a couple of episodes back on the main regular schmegular. It was a feature review. We absolutely loved that movie. We could not stop raving about it. Kris is in all 3 of these movies. All 3 of these movies are hitting this summer, so it's a big time for him. So it was time to get him on the podcast. But Kris, before we go into it, you've got something to do.
What's that?
Pimpage.
Oh my Christ. Yeah.
Go for it.
Well, right now?
Yeah, do it.
Fucking
Do it now.
hell.
Do it.
Well, if you'd stop yammering on.
Okay.
Okay, so we want everybody to look for the 365 Flicks podcast on the Facebooks and the Twitters. Don't forget to subscribe, and that was intentional,
Subscribe.
and share, and like, and ting.
And ting.
We are on iTunes.
We are.
No, we're not. We're on Apple
Yeah,
Podcasts.
we're on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, I keep on fucking forgetting that. Apple Podcasts. Again, like us, subscribe, and leave cheeky 5-star reviews and that. You can also find us on the Spotify and any other third-party podcatching app that you can find out there. We're also on a few cheeky networks. Look for us on the Tangier Network, the Wicked Radio Network, We Be Geeks. Fuck it! I'm done.
Geeks Worldwide.
Geeks Worldwide. We're still on Geeks Worldwide?
Yeah.
Oh, right, bygones. Okay.
British Home.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think I should really be slapped in the face.
I think you should retire from the pimpage.
Nerdly.co.uk.
Yeah. Nerdly.
Our British Home, as you say.
I do. And you do sometimes.
Well, you would hope so, wouldn't you? Yeah. It's because we don't do this enough. Out of practice.
Yeah.
Because, let's face it, I had it down.
You did have it down pat for a while. Yeah.
Hashtag Porno Family. Hashtag Britpod Scene.
Yeah. That was good. That was really good.
Was it? It was probably not meant.
No. If anybody would like to send in their version of the pimpage,
I didn't agree with that.
we probably will use it because Chris is a piping hot mess most times. So yeah, we're going to go into the interview in a quick hot minute, which, by the way, features a special guest as well. I finally got somebody on the podcast that I've been trying to get on for a while now. Although
you've well made a fucking mess of that.
Oh, I did it next week a little bit. I'm fully buzzing right now. Yeah, we finally got somebody on. We're going to leave that as a surprise to later on, even though I'll probably put it in the title of the episode. But that is going to happen. That is awesome. It was amazing to have him on as well. But first of all, before we get into the interview, I want to do a cheeky little shout out about something that I'm doing this weekend.
What's that now?
I am taking part in a charity football match.
Well, shit.
Yeah, imagine me.
What charity?
Doing something for charity. And I don't know, fuck, I'm not bothered about charities, am I?
Oh, that's fucking good.
But no, actually, this is the second thing in like 2 weeks that I'll have done for charity. So that makes me way more charitable than you.
You are like a ball hair away from being the new Lenny Henry.
Yeah. So last Sunday, I did Tough Mudder with some of the guys that I work with. Amazing experience. If you ever wanted to see if you could do it, you definitely should, because I didn't think I could, and I certainly halfway around the course did not think I could finish, but I totally finished, and I was buzzing, and I loved it. But yeah, I'm doing a charity football match this weekend with the seniors team that I play for, the SBS guys, ran by the insatiable, what's other words for like sexy as hell? Gorgeous. The Ayatollah of rock and roll. No, that's Chris Jericho, isn't it? He'll love that though, because he loves wrestling. But ran by a good friend and good friend of the show, Kev Wright. He's an awesome bloke. A couple of the lads came together behind the scenes, and they put this all together. We are playing on Shieldfield Park, which is our local. Could you call it a stadium? I guess it's a stadium.
It's a stadium in a way.
It's like a really big park.
It's got a front door.
It has a front door. It has stands.
And it's got gates.
A changing room, turnstiles. It has turnstiles. It sells pies.
Well, there you go.
I think that makes it a stadium.
Does it have a bar?
Yes, there's a bar.
Well, I'm in.
In a tent on the side. And also has a speedway track. We're playing this charity game against the C9 Foundation. The C9 Foundation is a group of guys up in Newcastle, Glasgow way, who've come together to sort of bring the conversation of men's mental health into the forefront and to deal with it through it. We'll talk about it through grassroots football kind of thing, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So
it's a good cause.
We're playing that game this weekend. I cannot wait. I've actually been selected for the team, so I'm even more happy to be part of it. And hopefully we raise a bit of money for it. And the town seems to be getting behind it. A lot of people in the town. There's a few people that aren't getting behind it, mind you. Some negative Nellies who don't want the game played on like that pitch because they should be allowed to play on that pitch. But we're doing it, and it's going to be awesome. We're going to make a lot of money. It's going to be a really good family day. If you are anywhere near the big park that we're playing in, please get yourself in there. It's going to be a good day. It should be a good game. I think I'm going to get an assist. I'm not going to go for a goal. unless it presents itself. But
You
I
just don't
think
want to commit yourself.
I don't want to commit myself. This is the thing. You're like, no, you get people who are really greedy on the ball and just take shots from like left, right, and centre. We have a few of them.
I can imagine you being like that.
No, I'm completely the opposite.
Are you a giver?
I am very much a giver, and people like to receive my gifts.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
Yeah, they like to receive my balls, my long balls, into their mouths.
Will we ever start the episode?
We're going to in a minute. I'm just doing a good thing for
Yeah,
charity.
you're talking about your birds.
But yeah, I'm only joshing about the pitch as well. It is Shieldfield Park. It is our local stadium. I'm absolutely buzzing to be playing on it. I've never played there before, and apparently it's a really good pitch to play on. So it should be a good game.
Yeah, good on you.
Yeah, charity, man. But yeah, we're going to get into this interview now in a minute. And interview is with Kris Johnson, the star of Captain America: The First Avenger.
Yes.
Remember he was in that?
That's why he was doing Marvel.
That's why he was doing Marvel.
Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah. I forgot to mention it during the show because I was too put off by the top knot, which he wasn't rocking, thankfully. So yeah, Kris Johnson interview in progress.
And welcome to the Pittsburgh Nerd Podcast. I'm Sean.
And I'm Ian.
Hey, Ian.
Yeah.
Did you know you could find us on the Danger Entertainment Network?
Danger.
Danger Entertainment. That's right.
Sounds dangerous.
It is. It's a tad bit dangerous. You'd be shocked to find that out. You know, there's a bunch of great podcasts you can find there. Our friends from the History of Bad Ideas podcast, Who the What Now, Besotted Geek. No, they retired. That's right. They retired. But there are a bunch of other great podcasts you can find there, along with us. You know, we're the Pittsburgh Nerd Podcast, and we do pop culture and chili cheese dogs and whatever else floats our fancy.
Yeah.
Check us out.
For sure.
For sure. We're on most podcatchers, so give us a look.
Peace.
I'll let you kick this off, seeing as you're the star of the show.
You're going to keep that in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good lad. Okay, so joining us right now, once again, guest of the 365 Flicks podcast is Kris Johnson.
It has been some time, and the last time we kind of railroaded him with like a 3-hour Marvel episode, which I don't think he was ready for.
The episode that wasn't going to take too long. And then, yeah. Kris, how the hell are you?
Yeah, you did kind of surprise me with that. I didn't realise I'd have to know everybody's names. And great to see you both.
It
Yeah,
is,
you
man.
too, man. You too.
I mean, this one's been a long time coming. We did a cheeky little chat with you back 2 years ago on the set of Black Site. Was that 2 years?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
He was all creepy and scared the crap
Wow,
out of us.
yeah, it's coming to that. Yeah, I think it's coming towards 2 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were creepy. You were in like a straitjacket. You were wet.
And then he got into character.
You looked evil, and then he did get into character, and it was like shit. And we got to be there for the absolutely most spoilerific day possible. But we got an ass ton of amazing dialogue from this guy. Kris, it's great to finally have you on the podcast to talk properly about your career. So just
Thank you. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to talk to you both. But as I say, the last one I think we was more theme based. But yeah, it's great to have a chat with you. I'm glad that you had me again.
and I do apologize for doing that because it was like, yeah, it's going to take about an hour. Like 3 hours later, Kris was like, dude, I need to get off the phone now. He's like, come on, man.
Well, it was kind of at first. It was like, "Have you seen this film?" I was like, "Yeah, I've seen it." I didn't realise you were going to do it scene by scene, but yeah.
I think that was probably my fault more than
Yeah, that
anything,
was more your
because it
fault.
was
'Cause it was Civil War.
Spider-Man was in it.
Yeah.
And, aye. So, my bad.
But you did
And we
get...
can touch upon Endgame as well because I cried. So, Kevin, we can fall out over this.
I refuse to fall out with anyone over Endgame anymore because I've already lost half my phone book on that.
Oh, shit.
So
Yeah, let's not talk about Venom because I can't even get started on that one with you.
really,
Oh my word, I had to turn it off. But let's talk.
I've got it on Blu-ray. That's not a joke. I've literally got it on Blu-ray.
so
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't even got Black Site on Blu-ray yet. I'm still waiting for my order. But
yeah, they cancelled mine because it's coming from America. I had to order it from America, and then they cancelled it. And it says when we start sending them from the UK, you'll get your copy. I was like, do you not know who I am? I was like,
Well, I'm waiting for it because I obviously need it for my show reel, and I still haven't got it. But yeah, and as I say, that was the first time we met, and I think we met in the tunnels at the time, and you saw me in full character, and then I sort of came outside in the sun and spoke to you how I actually speak. And
I'm not sure which one was worse, to be
But yeah, I've always got all the time in the world for you guys. It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me back.
Man, thank you.
So I'll tell you what, we one of the main things we want to do is you have got 3 big movies kind of hitting right now. Black Sight's obviously on the coming out. I Love My Mum is doing a bit of a theatrical run right now. We've already spoken about I Love My Mum. We did a feature review on one of the last episodes. We can't rave enough about it. But then there's also Paul Knight's 24 Little Hours, which they released the second trailer for that yesterday or the day before.
I think the day before, wasn't it?
There was a second trailer that's been out, but the full theatrical trailer is about to come out in the next sort of couple of weeks. But they all kind of intertwine in a way.
Yeah.
So Black Sight, as you know, huge deal for me. Really proud.
Yeah, you want to be.
Yeah, a big step for me as an actor, completely different to anything I've ever done. And I have to thank Tom Payton for that as well, for having the foresight to even think that I was capable of doing it from what I'd done previously, because I'd only ever done the sort of the gangster and that kind of thing. And to hear the actors that had gone for that role and for me to get it, not only was I surprised, I think he was probably even surprised that I was chosen himself. But just really proud of it. Everything it stands for, how it was made, everybody that was on it, from George Burt to Tom, and just all of the cast, just a really special piece of work. I mean, and I remember speaking to Tom when he first started doing it, and he meant it to be almost like Marmite. Some people will love it, some people will hate it. And I think it was Redwood that he'd done before, where the worst reaction you could get was, it's all right, kind of liked it. That's the worst thing you can get. So he much preferred to, oh my God, I love it, it's amazing. and that's generally what's happened with this one. So I'd finished that, and obviously all of that I do in that film is dialogue. I barely move. I'm in one spot for a lot of it, and it drained me. It really did. It took everything out of me. It took everything that I had as an actor, and I needed a break. And then I spoke to Paul Knight. I approached him because I knew he had something coming up, and I'd heard about him a lot, and I heard really good things about him. And then I found out the part that he would want me to play would have been all action and no dialogue. So
Sweet.
Completely opposite of what I'd just done. So I, jumped at it straight away. And I'm, again, really proud of it. To shoot something like that in 8 days, and I think saying that it was shot in 8 days completely takes away from what we actually did. The fact it was shot in 8 days is just by the by. It really is, because it was the crew on it, from Paul, to his wife, to Danny Young, to Damien Morley, and most of all, as well, well, not most of all, but just as much, Richard Oakes is just a real pleasure to work with. Just genuine talent, and you can spot that very, very quickly when you work with people like that. It's they stand out to you when you work with people like that. So that, huge privilege for me to get that role. And then Alexa War, that was the producer on Black Sight, very quickly after that just happened to give me a call and said, look, we're making a movie called I Love My Mum. It's a comedy. There's a role we think you'd be ideal for. We only need you for a couple of days. Would you do it? It's a small role, but would you do it? And I was like, of course, to work with Alberto and Kirsten Waring as well, huge
she's
fan.
Awesome.
She's honestly, she really is. She's special, from The Take and all that kind of thing. Of course, I jumped at it straight away. And actually, when I first started out,
The Take, yes.
Yeah, she's in that with Tom
man.
Hardy. Yeah, she's been around for a while, and she's a real talent. And of course, when I first started out as an extra, I was an extra on Bonded by Blood, the original one, and I was in the background of one of her scenes on Southend Pier. So she had no idea who I was. So to get to work with, to work with her properly, I jumped at it. So as I came in on the first day, I said, so what do you want? And Alberto turned around and said, you can do what you want with this. You're basically an MC in a nightclub, but do what you want. We'll use what we think is relevant, kind of thing. So, and I know you guys have seen it now, but yeah, I covered myself in fake tan and went and got a silver suit out of the costume department and kind of did like a Kilroy Silk stroke Vernon Kay.
See, I'm not having that. That wasn't in the costume department. That was yours.
I'm telling you, it was there. It was just sitting there. I had a choice of about 3 things, and I found the cheesiest thing that I could possibly find. And then, as you guys know, I'm originally from up north, so I wanted to show something different anyway. So I went just fully Yorkshire with him, and they let me play with it. And like I said to you before, I didn't even think they'd use the scene, but luckily it's in there, and I'm really proud of it. I still haven't seen it myself, but I've heard it's got a decent reaction.
Oh, it's getting great reactions.
Yeah,
but
it is.
But yeah, we're going to be talking about them properly. But I want to bounce back because, like I say, last time we railroaded you into a Marvel conversation, so we didn't really get a chance to focus on yourself or your career that much. We spoke a little bit, but not too much. But I want to go back to how you got into the acting game and what was it that gave you the bug, and was it a conscious choice to do it?
Oh, okay. I'll go deep with you for a second. It's one of those things I always kind of thought I could do growing up. From a very young age, I was one of those sort of kids that would watch a scene or watch a film and I'd walk away and recite the lines and in my head, this is how they should have said it, this is how it should have been done, that kind of thing. From a very young age, I was always, a bit of a personality is a polite way to put it. And it was my grandmother used to say, you'll either end up a household name or you'll go to prison. And, so you can take that 2 ways. So when I left school, I actually travelled for years. Lived abroad, lived in America, lived Tenerife, Thailand, all over the place. I came back, met the mother of my son, and suddenly I was back in this country with a child, and I decided I was going to give it a go, and that I was going to really go for it. And if I was going to do it, I was going to give it the best shot I did. And obviously, I didn't have drama school behind me. So what I did, and I look back at it now as just how ridiculous and naive I was, that I would find out who had won a director award, found out what they were making and where they were casting, and I went up to London and found their offices, and I walked in, and I don't know if you've ever seen the film Neal by Mouth.
Yep, of course.
Okay,
of course.
That was probably the film that, and still does stick with me the most. And I walked into an office with probably about 25 people sitting around having their lunches, and they all stopped and turned around to look at me, and I said, hello, I've come to cast for your film. And the main guy at the back said, what film? And I said, Who Needs Enemies? I've heard that you're casting. And he looked at me quite politely and said, well, it's already cast, I'm afraid. I said, well, okay. There's no harm in seeing me then. And he kind of called my bluff and said, okay, well, show me now. And I had a bag on my shoulder, so I put it down, and I don't know if you remember the scene in Neal by Mouth where Ray Winston pulls Kathy Burke out of bed and and it's quite horrific, and I did that, and I kind of finished it by looking at him and saying, Mummy and Daddy are playing, go to bed, and looked at him straight in the eye, and he very casually called me over and said, write your name and number there. And as I left, and I knew whether I got the part or not, I knew that's what I wanted to do. That's what this is what I was meant to do. And by the time I got to the train station, they'd called me up and gave me the role.
That's amazing.
Wow.
And that's that's genuinely how it started. And I'm very lucky I got to work with Peter Stigliani, who I still can't believe he hasn't done anything since, because he's a genuine talent, an unbelievable writer, but he just refuses to make anything that he is completely bought into. I think it's about the second or third day on set, it said, I kill someone from the back seat in a car. And he said, do you want a gun or a knife? And I said, give me a plastic bag. He went, oh, okay. And I did it a couple of times, and how he wanted. And then he said, you don't look happy. What's up? And I went, I just wouldn't do it like that. And he said, so what would you do? And I said, I would have made him feel comfortable. I would have maybe told him a joke or something. And he went, okay, I'll give you one take. So I made up a joke that I'd heard years ago and did it in one take, and then did it. And that was the take that was used in the film.
Nice.
He obviously went home, watched the edit, by the second day, he was going, okay, Kris, what would you do here? And he started sort of listening to me, nothing against him at all. And because, that takes real trust. But by the end of the film, he was kind of going, Kris, what would you do? And I ended up, the lead villain, and it was what launched me. And I look back now, pure naivety and maybe a bit of cockiness that got me that opportunity. And then straight from there, I got the 2 Hooligan films. And it just progressed from there. And as I say, I always say to people, I'm still about 10, 20 years off being the actor I want to be. I'm still in my apprenticeship. If I was a plumber, I probably just done my first toilet on my own. But it's all out there for everybody to see. But I'm still very much learning, still, under no illusions whatsoever. But yeah.
But you mentioned your 8 films in as the lead, which is no small feat, really.
No, not at all.
No.
So you've got to give yourself a pat on the back there. That doesn't come out of nowhere,
And don't get me wrong, I'm very proud now. I've been very lucky. I've been very lucky to work with directors that have trusted me and given me opportunity. But as you probably look back, everybody that's hired me really is people that have worked with me in the past and understand that I'm probably capable of things.
Yeah.
Very rarely do I get a film through reading. Very rarely, because I'll be honest with you now, I don't read very well. I don't cast very well. I don't audition very well because it takes me about 6 months to develop a character.
Well, I was going to say, when you're walking in and you're demanding roles from people and like, give me a role in your fucking movie right now, and then it's like, what, you want me to read a script? You want me to read a script?
You're right, absolutely. And that, as I say, that was naivety back then.
But it's not a bad way to go about it, though.
To say to an actor, you've got one scene, read this, send it to us. How do you possibly know what they want? It's impossible to know what they want. So you can only do your own original take on it. And and this is a message probably to directors or casting directors, if they didn't like it, send it back. I'll give you another version 5 minutes later, and so will every other actor. They probably have about 15 to 20 different versions that they could do within 10 minutes. So it's difficult. It's a difficult industry. And then again, if you get the part, what you would get 3 months later when I'm on set is completely different and on another level to what you would have got in a reading. So,
So we've had all different types of sort of like actors getting in there and everything, and you're saying that you didn't really do the drama school and all that, and you just kind of went for it, and you were like, I'm going to give this my best shot. We've had other people who are like, oh, I did all the drama schooling and I did all that. What do you think would be like? Do you think not doing drama school is a disservice? Like, do you not benefit from that, or do you feel the way you've gone about it is?
Don't get me wrong, I know some amazing actors that went to drama school, and you can see their training in them as well. But I think every single one of them would admit that you're a stronger actor through life experience.
Yes.
You have to have emotion to be able to draw on. You have to have experienced things, real, maybe heartache or loss, to be able to draw on it. You can only pretend if you haven't. And to be able to draw on real emotion is invaluable. So, nothing against anybody that went to drama school, but my best training was, I did timeshare and sales, so I also, I had that sort of ability to blag it.
Which
we do that all the time.
If you will.
Which, as you say, kind of plays into your sort of earlier roles. You a little bit got typecast into sort of the hooligan, the gangster, and all that. I mean, is that something that you weren't keen on happening when you first started, or were you just like, I'm just going to take the roles and keep doing it?
Early then, the fact that I'd even got a role in a film is unheard of. 99.9% of actors are out of work. They say even out of some of the best drama schools in the world, it takes you about 7 to 8 years to get a speaking role in a film. Mm-hmm. So the fact I was playing lead roles in films within a couple of years with no drama school, I have to take positives from that. But I also knew where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. So, you can only have your own path. And it's nothing against any of the films that I've done in the past, but I didn't want to be stuck with just those ones. And I've even spoken to casting directors that we looked at you and went, yeah, we liked you. You're clearly strong, but you were the gangster guy, or you were the hooligan guy. we didn't think you were capable of anything else. And that's why it's a strong shout out to people like Tom Payton that saw past all that and thought I was capable of playing the role of Erebus and things like Black Site. Without people giving you those sort of opportunities, you'd be stuck playing that kind of stuff.
I do remember Tom saying when he was on talking about Black Site that he was looking at what you did with Erebus. And he'd been looking at other audition tapes and all that kind of thing, and people were just kind of being Hannibal Lecter a little bit.
Yeah.
And I remember him saying that he saw yours, and you just taken it slightly differently.
Yeah, it was like another notch to it, and sort of in a slightly different direction. Yeah. But yeah.
And that isn't anything against the other actors, because a lot of really, really good actors went for that role, but I felt I knew what they were going to do. I knew that a lot of them would take it in a demonic way. Yeah. I knew that a lot of them would try and be scary. I also, in my head, because all you can do is your version of it. Whether they take you on or not, you have no say in that. So all you can do is your version. You can't pretend or compete with any other actor. If they don't choose you, fair enough. If they do, then great. So, and the way I saw it in my head was, if this was an eons old being and he did speak English, he would speak perfect English. Mm-hmm. And not only would he do that, he'd be very well spoken, and he wouldn't be demonic, he'd be very calm. So, and that was my interpretation of it. So, and some of the actors that had gone for it, I really respect and thought, there's no chance I'm going to get this at all. There's no chance I'm going to get this. So all you can do is do your interpretation. So I did mine, and he came back to me, and I got it. And, without sounding cocky in any way, there was much stronger and much more experienced actors that had gone for that I was quite sure. For the fact that he stuck his neck out for me to give me that opportunity was huge for me. And it also gave me the opportunity to push it further on set as well.
I think it's
the confidence to push it further.
It's that thing, like he probably saw, all, like you say, actors who maybe were a little bit more experienced than you, actors who are just as experienced, maybe less experienced. He probably saw them coming in and doing the same thing over and over and over again, and you just come in like a breath of fresh air and just do something completely different. You're saying like he would speak perfect English and all that. What did you draw on for Erebus? Like, what was your inspiration? Who did you look at and sort of go, oh, I might try that?
Okay, so I almost went Shakespearean with him. Cool. That's the way I saw it. Okay,
Kenneth Branagh.
I kind of had Cumberbatch in my head. So you've read some of the reviews, probably yourselves, and they compare me to Hannibal Lecter in it, which is a huge compliment. Yeah. And I get the impression that some of them thought I was trying to do that. I promise that never ever crossed my mind. Yeah. You can't pretend to be Hannibal Lecter. Well, how could you possibly even interpret or copy Anthony Hopkins? It's ridiculous. So what I was trying to do was show what I thought was an entity that was eons old that had been trapped in a dead convict's body. And how would I do that? And that's genuinely what I still can't do the accent to this day. I still can't remember any of the lines. I still remember my first scene with the actor walking towards me, Big Bentley Callou walking towards me, and remember him finishing his line. And in my head, I was going, I have no idea what my line is here. I have no idea. And it just came. It just came to me. And I'm not method. I'm not being deep or anything. But once I was in the tunnels in Kidderminster, which you were there, 3 miles underground, I was him. When I was outside of the tunnels, I wasn't. And when I was in the tunnels, everybody left me alone and let me get on with it. And I turned myself into him. When I was outside, I'd sit and have a coffee with everyone and talk as normal. But as soon as I was in there, it just kind of took over. And as I say, I still can't do the accent. I still can't do the voice to this day.
It was the tunnels. I felt like half a murderer in those tunnels.
That's the hilarious.
It was freezing cold, right? Yeah. It was like -3, and I remember being freezing cold. But when I was shooting, I just never felt the cold. And you see some of the scenes, I've got steam pouring off me. I just never felt it until afterwards, and he'd yell cut, and I go, "Oh Jesus, guys, get me a coat,"
It's hilarious that you quickly drop in about not being a method actor and all that, because when we actually came to the set and we were down in those tunnels and everything, we saw you like delivering lines. You sort of stand in the middle of that platform, and Tom's kind of talking to you and everything, and just the way you kind of in between takes when everybody else was doing their lines, and you were just sort of sat in the chair. I kept sitting there thinking to myself, "Oh, he's in. He's just in that zone. He's right there, and he's living that character right now." And then we spoke to you outside, and it's like, "Oh, he's not in anymore." It was great.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, I think it's scary. I think it's quite scary for an actor, or you shy away from it, saying that you're method. But maybe I am in an element. I think all actors, you have to have a period of time before you shoot a scene, especially for a character like that, where you have to get in the zone. But I just very much with him, and it wasn't conscious. It really wasn't. He just kind of took over when he was in there, because that kind of felt like his home. So once I was under there, he did. I moved differently, completely to anything I've ever done before. I walked differently. He stood differently, and I sounded completely differently. And also, I've worked with directors before in the past that have kind of just sort of trusted me, and nothing against those other films that I've done, but it wasn't as challenging. And I'd never had a director sit with me and direct the way that Tom had. So when he first sat down and went, "Hey, how about trying this or doing this?" I was going, "Oh Jesus, oh my God." Oh my God, this is, maybe am I going to crumble here? But he was just so good at it. Every suggestion he made was spot on. Also, as well, I've got to say with Tom, and it's nothing against any other director I worked with. I'd never worked with a director that knew every single aspect of filmmaking like he does. I've never seen someone that knows lighting inside out, sound inside out, cameras to every single angle. He knew lenses at every single point. He just knows it. He just gets it. And I'd never experienced that before. I'd never been in that position where the guy that's sitting behind the camera, I had complete faith in as well. And I have had complete faith in other directors, but they'd never had to work under the conditions he had.
It doesn't make it easy, does he?
Well, have you seen a set like that before? I've never been anywhere near a set like that before in my life. So I trusted him, and he was absolutely right. He'd already given me the trust to play that role, and I'd like to think that he helped me create something that I probably, wouldn't have created without him.
How did you enjoy, or how did you get on set face to face alongside Sam Schnitzler, because she is fantastic in that film, and you both have a lot of dialogue heavy. It's just really nice scenes.
Okay, so you got to imagine they'd already been shooting for about 2 or 3 weeks already.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And they were all staying inside of this country house in Kidderminster. So I sort of turned up out of nowhere, and all they knew that I was Erebus. So they'd spoken about me in the script for a few. But they never met me. Also, they didn't know how I was going to play this role. So I sort of walked into this house on an evening with my bag. "Hey, how you doing, guys?" And straight away, me and Mike Beckenham just hit it off. Yeah. Honestly, just hit it off. Hilarious, really lovely fella. And Samantha was actually asleep on a sofa when I sat down and met everyone, because she'd been doing fight scenes all day, and she sort of sat up halfway through the evening. "Oh, hello." And "Hi, I'm Kris. I'm playing Erebus," and we just got on. Also, she's hilarious. What a really nice girl, and what a talent. She can do things that none of us can do. None of us can do that. And her and Phoebe Robinson Galvin as well. Just real talent, and it's very rare, as you probably know, people that have the physical attributes to be stunt women and stunt men that also have the ability to get on camera and act the way they did. And that was Phoebe's first proper film role as well. It was just a pleasure to work with them. But yeah, me and Samantha, all of them, just got on really well. And also, I'm sure she'll agree as well, I kind of kept her a little bit distant until we really started shooting, because I wanted to still have the element between the two of us. I was
going to say, was there ever, how you always hear, what's his name, Sean Harris, from Creep and all that. He always sits away from, because he usually plays like the bad guy and all that, or the mutant kind of character, and he always sits away from everyone. I just kind of wondered if there was this like, I'm Erebus and we're on set.
Yeah, you're right. I think if I was maybe a bigger actor, I probably would have pushed that a bit further, but I was so keen for them all to kind of like me in the same house as well. I didn't want to do that. But yeah, there was definitely an element of me sort of keeping my distance in a way. Also, as well, I would shoot our bits, and it was usually me and Mike that would go back to the house while they all did their fight scenes and all the stunts afterwards. So me and him would end up going off to, you know, the local bar and get something to eat and get an early night because we were in early the next day. But by the time it came to our scenes, I'd never seen anything they'd shot. They'd never seen anything I'd shot until the scenes that you see in the movie that were actually together. So it worked out really well.
Do you think that was a conscious?
They had no idea how I was playing it.
Do you think that was a conscious thing of Tom's, like bringing you down later into the shoot?
Looking back now, it probably was. Yeah. Looking back now, maybe it was a scheduling thing as well with him. But yeah, maybe it was. He did kind of separate us. You know, it was just very separate things. They were all very physical, so all their scenes were, you know, very much choreography and stunts, and ours was all dialogue, and we don't see each other until later on in the movie. So it was just very separate. So while they were at home through the day having a nice breakfast and whatnot, I was doing all my bits. Usually about the swap, when I was going home, they were coming in to do all their fight stuff for the rest of the day.
Well, I'm glad we got to be there on a day when all the main players were there. We had Angela was there, Bentley was there, yourself, Sam,
What
Phoebe,
mountain he
Mike.
is as well, by the way.
What a man!
He's an impressive guy.
I mean,
I wish I could tell you a couple of the stories on that thing as well, but wow. Yeah.
I mean, you can.
There's a scene. I don't want to give too much away. There's a scene where he hits me, and I still remember it to this day. Every single time he walked towards me, I was just thinking in my head, whilst trying to be in character, Jesus, I hope he doesn't catch me by accident. Because if he does, you know, this day's over. This day's done. Yeah, he's such a huge guy. He's got arms that looks like two little boys are fighting in them, you know.
He's a unit. He's definitely a unit.
He's a big guy, really big guy.
So we had Black Site, which was, as you said before, very little action, a lot of dialogue. And by the way, I'm going to quickly say it. I've said it many times on the podcast. I've said it in my reviews. The dialogue you deliver effortlessly. You're fantastic in that film. And I remember being on set, and that was the main scene that we saw. And every time you said that, I think I've quoted it to you about 1 million times. More cheap parlor tricks. Every time you said that line, I'm like, "Oh, this movie's going to be fucking awesome."
It was the bit after that for me. Boring. I love that line.
You know, I still thank you as well for the review that you gave me, guys. You know, it means a lot. Obviously, it really means a lot, especially when you're unsure as well. You know, you never know whether what you've done has come across how you wanted it to. But yeah, I was chuffed, and you know, it means a lot.
So you went from there, and as you mentioned before, you pretty much went straight onto 24 Little Hours. There wasn't long of a gap, because I remember
I think.
I'd seen.
I'll tell you what, actually, before you move away from Black Site, congratulations to Danny Icott for he's now a dad.
Oh
Just
yeah,
a puppy. He kept that one quiet, didn't he?
He did keep that one quiet. Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations, Danny, and it's a little beauty as well.
He looked after us that day.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. Yeah,
Thankfully,
you can go on 24
mummy. Thankfully, it's taken after his mummy.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. We don't want to be seeing a Marvel T-shirt on that child anytime soon.
Congratulations, yeah, lovely fella as well. I tell you what, I don't know if we spoke about it before, but boy, did that guy look after us all on set. It was, you know, just different class, above and beyond at all points. He made sure that not only were we comfortable. And you know, not in a diva kind of way, but when me and Mike because I'd bring Mike in my car instead of getting picked up because we wanted to have a chat and play music as we came in. So we'd pull up on set and he'd have our scripts sat there. We'd have our breakfast. He'd have it as we were getting out of the car, put our scripts in our hand. So we just, and it's just that we didn't have to worry about anything else. And it was just brilliant. Anything we needed at any point. But also, whilst doing about 30 other jobs, he was just absolutely different class. What a lovely fella, really lovely fella.
It was funny because the first time he turned around to me and he goes, "So do you want a cup of coffee?" And I'm stood there thinking, dude, it's 3 miles that way. Are you for real?
and that's what we ended up with the electric scooter as well, because I had such short spaces in between the shooting. I used to jump on this electric scooter as Erebus and shoot 3 miles of tunnels just to shoot out for a coffee and then get back in time.
That's amazing.
You know what?
Independent
I'll have to try
filmmaking. Independent filmmaking at its finest.
Yeah.
So yeah, you moved on pretty quickly. About a month and a half later, you went on to Paul Knight's next feature, which I was very aware of what Paul Knight was up to because obviously Landscape of Lies and everything, and I'd seen what had all gone on, and I'd been speaking to him for some time. And then, guess what? There's Kris Johnson turning up in 24 Little Hours with Paul Knight with a top knot.
I knew you'd have to mention it. I knew you'd have to.
With a top knot. I'm going to let you off because of the Bane jacket, but you rocked a top knot.
Yeah, I did. And, it was one of those...
You've got to bring up the important questions.
So from Erebus to the shooting is about how long it took me to grow that beard. So I got the time for a quick holiday in between. And I pursued Paul. Because as I say, I knew what happened with Landscape of Lies, but I also had heard very positive things about Paul. I'd also heard that Damian Morley was involved. Straight away, wanted to be all over it, and I pursued them. I pursued their casting director, and I knew that people were sending tapes left, right, and centre. So I was sending tapes overnight. I was sending tapes to them, and he came back to me and said, "Look, we want you to play the lead. Excuse me, but he doesn't talk." I was like, okay. But also as an actor, you have to take that as a huge opportunity. I'd gone from a film all dialogue, no action to a film with all action, no dialogue. So I jumped at it. Then found out who else was going to be in it. I'd spoken to an actress called Cassandra French. I don't know if you've heard of her. She's a real talent, and I promise you, watch out for that name because you're going to hear it a lot more. And she'd given me a heads up with a guy called Neal Ward that was going to be in the movie, and not only would me and him get on, but he's a real talent. I'd heard the name once before, and sure enough, as she was right, when we first got onto set, we just hit it off. I don't know how much I can say about the story, but basically, it's sort of self-titled. It's 24 Little Hours. I have been in prison. I'm an ex-con. Something that's happened to a member of my family. When I come out of prison, I basically go on a revenge spree. Mr. Mark Bannerman, who we all know, by the way, I know how talented he was before the movie, but I had no idea how good that guy can deliver dialogue. What a real depth that fella has. And Neal Ward was a member of that group that was going to help me when I came out of prison. And it was just a real privilege. Everybody on set, and then we had Richard Oakes, who I'd never met before. Yeah. And what a placid, calm influence he is on set, but what a real talent. He makes a very, low budget film while we're in that position look like $1 million. He really does. And that's not something you can buy. You can't pretend to have that talent. He's just one of those guys, and as we all know now, is going to be huge in this industry. Oh yeah. He really is. He's going to be massive, and it's completely deserved.
Yeah, he does have a hell of a talent on the lens. Like them, we came down to London. It was about 2 months ago now.
It will have been.
Yeah, to see Homeless Ashes, which he just made it look amazing. It's just it's a sexy looking movie, to be honest.
I've heard really good. I haven't seen it myself, but I know Mark Zammit really well, and I've heard really good stuff about it as well. Also, and I know so many people that's in it from.
Everyone's in it.
Mike Beckham. Yeah, everybody's in it. Angela Dixon from Black Side. They're all in it. I have so many. I can't believe I wasn't asked. There we go.
You just said everyone's in it. Rub it in, Kev.
But yeah, I really wish them the best on it, and the fact that he managed to get Richard Oakes was a genius stroke on his part, I think.
Yeah, and on 24 Little Hours, going into a role where a ton of action, no real speaking. How was that taxing for you as an actor? Like, obviously, you're no longer using your voice, you're using your face to sort of show the emotion.
On set and at the time and after, as an actor, when you finish the scene, you can kind of walk away and know whether you've hit it and when you haven't. And when you haven't spoken in the scene, it's very hard to walk away and go, right, nailed that. How do you really know? How do you know you've managed to get the emotion across without actually speaking? See, I never really knew, especially when you sat in between somebody like Danny Midwinter, who's fantastic actor that I've watched for years, Mark Bannerman delivering dialogue both across in front of you, and you can't talk. And you have this desperate urge to just be a part of that moment and a part of that scene, but I couldn't even talk. So it was frustrating, and never really knowing whether you'd really got your emotion across, whilst also trying not to overact. You know, you don't want to be sat in the corner going, ooh, ooh, God, you know, and over-expression it. So I had to kind of be cold, and what I realised that is more I was a vessel for other really awesome characters. So it was kind of an unselfish role on my part, because there's so many cool actors in that and so many cool roles. I realised that's exactly what I was. This is the one I needed to be a little bit vanilla in, and I needed to be a little the vessel between all these awesome characters and awesome actors in this film, where I could pass you in between them, and you could just watch them yourselves and enjoy them.
But be honest with yourself and with us, you smashed it, right?
I think I smashed a few heads.
Love it. I love it. I
get to do some really cool stuff. And you know, and people like Neal Ward, you know who he is. You've heard his name a lot. He's got some amazing stuff coming out since then. At the time, he wasn't as well known. He's got Two Graves now that's just come out on Netflix. That's you know, smashing it. But he was one of the first people I'd sat and watched the scene, whilst I was on set, and had to turn around to check whether the camera was rolling, because I didn't know it was a scene. I didn't think that they were actually shooting. It was that strong. You know, and you go, and that's rare. That's rare where you look at somebody else on set and go, Jesus, he's good. Because you don't generally get to see it in that time. And I've got a little surprise as well for you. Mr. Neal Ward just happens to be sat in the room with me right now.
Is that him slapping the PlayStation knobs on the control pad? I can.
You can hear that. Oh wow, I'm super here.
It's like getting to come and say hello to you.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So I'm just picking him up, and I've tried to actually play it down because he's sat here. I would have probably bigged him up a little bit more if he wasn't here, but I'd love you to say hello to him, because you know who he is, guys, don't you?
Yeah.
Believe me, I know who Neal Ward is.
Hello.
Hello.
There he is. Neal Ward.
Are you happy?
I am happy.
Yeah.
This is for me. This is like the culmination of the last probably 6-7 months of just badgering people on Facebook. Look, are you going to come on the podcast? Are you going to come on the podcast? And every time he said no, I'm too big for that shit.
I think it's all the time I've been asking you guys, and you said, "Yeah, it will happen." And I thought, I'll just hijack Chris's interview. And
No, you are more than welcome anytime on this podcast. You're somebody that we've been keeping an eye on, especially myself through Dark Fable Media, Adam and Rich, and you have got a big movie that you've just wrapped. You said you've got pickups to do on hosts.
Yeah, that's hosts with Adam and Rich co-directing that together. Produced by Odin's Light, which is a guy called Gillen Williams, and produced also by Craig Hind as well. Such as like Black Sites and the Pandoricas and things like that.
Yeah.
So he's a great guy as well, and that was fun. It was a grueling 2 weeks, because we actually technically only had 8 filming days on that. So it's kind of a 24 little hours, but obviously, we've got pickup days, so it won't count. So we get close to that 8 days.
So they beat you there.
Yeah, they did. I mean, we technically shot the bulk of the film in 8 days, but 8 night shoots, which was taxing, but very rewarding. That was my. It was the middle of start of May to the middle of May, so that was very fun. It's a very special film. I don't know. I've seen a short mini teaser sort of trailer for investors and stuff, and it's looking. Well, it's Richard Oakes, so
yeah,
it really has got a really good feel to it. For saying we didn't have a sort of art department as such on it and set design, but the guys did it all themselves. So Rich likes to use certain colours for costume, colour palettes. For just the way that they decorated the walls and the wallpapers and the furniture and things, and we had a homemade jib, which was incredible. Instead of spending like $1,000 to have a jib for 8 days, it's really special. Horrific moment.
There's a video on YouTube of sort of behind the scenes showing you how they made that jib as well. I mean,
£30.
anybody who wants to check out Dark Fable Media, go and have a look on the YouTube. There's some fantastic videos on there, some of which you are a star of.
I am, yeah.
I mean, there's no way I'm having Neal Ward on this episode and not asking him about Bear Yeet. It's just not happening because.
Yeah, well, there might be something else coming.
Oh, don't tell me that.
There might be. It quite possibly will be host themed. So I think the music from Ben Simmons, who again is an incredible guy, who's writing the score as we speak, has already written about 4 tracks just for the tone moods. He's incredible. But yeah, he's going to do a mix down and probably make it our next Bear Yeet. Which came out of the middle of nowhere, really. It just, the guys wanted to just shoot a music video, write a song, produce a song in literally 24 hours. And we did it. We went out to London, shot that first one just to prove. And it was all about the channel and cinematography, the black magic and stuff. So it doesn't really make sense to anyone who doesn't know about filming. But then we did the second one, which we thought would be pretty cool. And the guys did some quite harsh rapping, and I just did something very political. So yeah,
you got deep on that politicalness.
It's quite a bad one. I have no comments about like whether it's bad, good. People like sort of going, that's a bit much. It was sort of just went along and did what it did, and that was it. So
if it's
it's fun. That's just a little sort of passion thing we do for a laugh. And but yeah, we released it on iTunes and everywhere. So
you did, man. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've got it on my phone, but that's neither here nor there.
It's quite catchy. Yeah,
it is, man.
What's wrong with you, Gary?
but I want to ask you about another movie that is currently doing the rounds. Chris just quickly mentioned it before, but Two Graves is on the Netflix. I want to talk to you about Netflix because that is not Netflix. Two Graves, because that's very different for you as well.
Yeah, for saying that a lot of my stuff beforehand, I mean, before I'd done Two Graves, I'd literally done sort of like quite unhinged, very art housey sort of characters, either playing an abuser, whether it be mentally or physically, or playing sort of like an addict or alcoholic. To actually go and I was actually offered that part just from Gary Young, who's the writer who wrote Harry Brown, who just literally saw my showreel from the DOP, his last short film, which was on his showreel. He said, "Who's this guy? Like, he'd be perfect for this part." And then phone call from the DOP saying, "Would you be interested in doing this? It's a low budget indie sort of feature, but the guy wrote Harry Brown, and it's his first sort of directing debut. So would you be interested?" And I just went,
"Hell yeah.
I'm not doing anything else. So yeah, sure, why not, eh? Yeah, why not? So yeah, I turned up on set to there 2 days later because it was a last minute thing. I think they cast everybody else, looked at their budget and went, can't really afford anybody with a name. So naturally, I offered my services. And I wasn't any kind of, and no one would probably know who I was. So I'd not done anything. That was my first feature. I'd mainly done shorts, music videos, a bit of TV a few years before that, Holby City, and Doctors, but I'd not done anything really. I moved to London when I was 21 and decided, I'm going to London. That's where it all happens. And I'm from Derby originally. So yeah, I sort of went there and 2 days later on the set with someone as incredible as David Heyman. I literally only just finished watching Taboo when he was in it all the way through, working with one of my idols, if not the idol, Tom Hardy. And you sort of go, I'm working with him, and I'm in scenes. He's my dad, and like, oh wow, this is. But then this is not me. So the one thing that's actually got me some sort of coverage and attention has been Two Graves, but it's not my go-to performances at all. It's very I was very like it's a bit more on the receiving end of the violence and the trauma. So that was challenging in itself because I'm used to being sort of hard and sort of sinister and unnerving. But yeah, everyone was great. I mean, Kathy Tyson as well, who's was a household name, but from Band of Gold, and Dave Johns from I, Daniel Blake. All of them incredibly wonderful people, very sort of pleasant to be around and encouraging, and Katie Jarvis as well, obviously from our side of the sort of indie world, Fish Tank, and obviously EastEnders recently. That was good. That was again another 9 days worth of filming for me. But they were sort of long days. But again, it was bigger budget, so I think we were talking 500k for that. And they were just 8-hour days, so you're like, woo! Got 14-hour days on hosts and
easy money.
Easy money, yeah. And then I waited 2 years, and then it won the British Urban Film Festival Best Film. The producer Chantal Rochester did an incredible job for her first feature. She's currently now shooting another one with Gary, I think, but that was out in South Africa. So she's done really well with that. And then next thing I know, I got a phone call saying it was going on to Netflix. So worldwide, every English-speaking country. So that to me is everywhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, that's all of them.
Pretty much every country speaks English to a degree. But yeah, so yeah.
But how's that? As an actor, how is that? Because Kris was just saying before, like he's got these 3 films dropping right now, but it's been like a year since they were done. They were all done kind of last summer, and Two Graves is kind of just hitting now, but that was like 2 years ago. Yeah. As an actor, how is that waiting for the movie to come out and waiting for that to happen?
Well, it's kind of that thing that, as Kris touched upon it earlier, with it's up and down for us all the time, and especially the kind of characters we play when we're not like that in real life. You invest such a lot of time and energy into what you do for, say, maybe 2 weeks, and each scene is carefully put together on each day, and the preparation. I personally do it the night before, so I'll have a good idea of what my scenes are. I don't read anybody else's lines or any scenes I'm not in, and it sounds very selfish, but there's no need for my character to know any of that information. I think some actors can over inform themselves of what's going on, so they're subconsciously aware of things they shouldn't be aware of.
Yeah, I can see that.
Not everybody, but there's certain people do. But I just sort of like to keep it there and in the moment on the day, so the night before, whatever I'm doing, I'll go through that thoroughly the night before and turn up. So when you've invested all this emotion each day, and you can throw away all those scenes you've done after each evening or morning if you're night shooting, and then suddenly when you come to the wrap day and it's wrapped, you have no input, especially with Two Graves. You have no input with what goes on with the film. It just sort of goes off, and you can text away going, oh, what's happening, when's it coming out? Because it was supposed to be a very quick turnaround. It was supposed to be out by Christmas that year we shot it, 2017, and it didn't. It took a bit of a while. I think there was some problems post the production houses or something, whatever goes on. But again, this is a film world, it always happens. And you sort of you know what you've done, and you know that when it comes about, it could be very beneficial to you as an actor and for your career and for your public image. But it doesn't. You sat waiting and waiting for it to happen, and you're just waiting for it to drop. That's what it is. And then when it does, sometimes when you've not seen the film and you go see it, you're like, oh, am I going to like this? Is it going to be good? And I was doing that especially because it's not my comfort zone for that film, but. People have said it was a great performance, but I enjoyed doing it. That was the thing, and anything that gets my face out there is good, and then eventually you can do the things that you really want to do. But I was just thinking, oh no, I'm going to get all these parts now, I'm just going to get tortured, and I'm never going to be able to do what I actually enjoy doing, and I'm actually a lot better at. But yeah, it was it's a weird thing. It's a very weird thing.
Yeah, can I imagine?
We're two impatient bastards.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
Does that not drive you guys insane? Waiting.
It usually works out. I've worked out as soon as you stop thinking about the movie and you've actually maybe got over it a little bit. Sorry, hi guys. As soon as the point where you got over it and maybe you stop thinking about it, when's it coming out, is generally when it happens. Maybe you've moved on to the next project and you start thinking about that one is when this other one comes out. Like I say, in other people's eyes and other people's perception, it seems like a really busy summer for me where I've got 3 movies coming out, but the last one I shot was close to a year ago now.
Yeah.
So I think when you've like Kris says, when you've done a film and you're waiting for it, then suddenly you're on another one, And you do sort of forget about the other one, and then when someone goes, "Oh, that's coming out soon," you're like, "Yeah, all right." You've done your bit on it, and there's nothing more you can do unless you're heavily involved in post, or you have an influence on how the film goes, which
we don't
never do.
Which we never do. Yeah.
You look at it and go, "Oh, don't put that scene in. What you doing?" Because we see ourselves differently to how other people see us. So.
And also a big thing as well, you're talking with those big periods in between them coming out from when we shot them, and as actors, I'm sure Neal will agree, we're still very much in the learning stage and learning our craft and becoming better at it. We're a world away from, or we'd like to think we're a world away from the actor that actually shot that film.
Yeah.
So where I am as an actor now is nothing compared to what's about to come out.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. Something you wouldn't really think about. Well, I wouldn't think about.
There's some films in the past I've done that, like before, sort of Two Graves and sort of the short films, that when you film them, you're sort of like really proud of what you've done as an actor, and then you get back the film and you go, wow, that's not what I thought it would be. That was terrible. It takes everybody on a film set. You need a good DOP, you need a good director, you need good actors, you need a good sound guy for one. A lot of films get let down by absolutely dog shit sound. Sorry, can I swear on this?
I think I've swore a couple of times already. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, absolutely pony sound, and yet you have to. It just lets films down, and you think, I put my all in on that day and gave the director and everyone everything, and it's just not captured what you knew it felt like at the time. So that can be frustrating at times, but then again, you sort of go, you just don't tell people about them films.
I like that a lot.
So have you ever had a case where you really didn't want to speak about a film? And somebody's not that we're not going to ask you about that film.
Obviously not.
Yes.
Go on, tell me about that film.
Tell us about that.
I did a film a few years ago. I happened to work with an up and coming director. It was very early on in his career, so I'm sure he said the same thing as well, that it was an early attempt at movies, but I was early on in my career as well, so I took it and it didn't get a good reception, and I look back early on I looked back on it with regret, but now I look back on it as it was a learning curve for me and for him as well. It was released, it's out everywhere.
Is this the one that I think I sat down to watch one night and I tagged it on my Facebook as I was watching it, and you instantly messaged me saying, "Why are you watching that one?"
I'm
not going to say the name. I'm not going to say the name, but instantly I got a message like, no.
So there was elements of that film as well that was really good, and he's also gone on to do some really good stuff. He's actually just made a movie as well, that director, that's gone on to win a few awards, and he's clearly honed his skills and honed his craft and become a much stronger director, and he's doing really well at the moment. And I honestly, because he's actually a really nice guy, and his family was amazing with me as well, and the people that I worked with were amazing. But at the time, he was early on, and I think he was maybe naive a little bit on the impact he could have had on other people's careers.
Right.
And not that he didn't care, but maybe he was naive to the point of how it may have had a negative impact on my career at the time, and that's my own fault as well for letting that happen. But I don't hold any ill will whatsoever.
Sweet.
I have a film that I do, and I will name and shame it, but
oh, please do.
Well, no, I say so. So technically, Two Graves wasn't my first feature. It's the first one to have come out, so we'll put it that way. But I ended up doing it was a feature film, it was a found footage film. A guy approached me from my show reel off, I think it was Casting Call Pro or Mandy back in the day when it was something like that. And I went down for this audition in a council house in the middle of southeast London, in a bedroom. It's not one of them films.
I already love this story.
What?
It was.
Thing, and ended up going and doing it.
Did he ask to take your photographs at any point?
You and the other 5 cast members out to Holland or to Luxembourg to start with.
Oh, nice.
We're going to film in these abandoned locations with this one guy who wrote this script. We're filming it on 2 or 3 DV handycams, so we were technically the DOP of our own film. And yeah, we went and shot this, and on paper the story was quite good. It was clever what happened, and on paper, but what we shot as actors it was just terrible. And then yeah, they paid us good. I think it's the best money I've ever been paid. Actually, for saying this, he was basically a lawyer, and I'm not going to name his name because A, I've forgotten it, and B, I think I can't pronounce it. But he was like a lawyer, and he just wanted to make a film. He just took out a loan of 15 grand and then paid us all, put us up in this really nice place with a hot tub. And then we got it back and we just went, oh my God. And then you just bury it and no one's ever heard of it. But the film's called A Warning to the Curious.
Nice.
I'm going to watch it tonight.
You can't find it? I think it might be on YouTube.
I'm also going to watch it tonight.
It's found footage. It's out there.
Hold on a minute.
Yeah. It's one of them films that will creep up in about 5 years' time when I'm over in LA, and then it will just...
Before they were
I saw
famous.
Chris just write it down then. Just write that down. Just write that down.
I'm Googling that son of a bitch right now. Oh, wait a minute. I want to know it's a book.
So on to
It was a book, yeah. It was a book as well, and then, yeah. And then it was, I think it was another film back in the day. But
1972?
yeah, that was just...
he's on the wiki now.
No, I'm still on the Google page.
What does that say?
2013.
You might have been, yeah.
What does that say? Neal Ward, 5 stars. Oh.
Well, my performance was anyway. Yeah, and there's a classic line in there which nowadays probably won't be allowed in there. Yeah, I can't say it. I'm just going to tease you with that. I'll have to text you what it is.
You do know we are going to watch that now.
If you find it,
I've got the IMDb page.
You'll watch 10 minutes and turn it straight off.
Believe me, I've sat through some really, really dog shit movies. That's harsh.
Never liked Venom, so
I love Venom. Hey,
Nothing wrong with Venom.
Venom's awesome. Chris is wrong. So talking about like movies that you're maybe not all that proud of, you're both in a movie that I'm guessing you're both proud of your performances. You're both in 24 Little Hours. What was your experience like together on set? Chris has already said that you hit it off, but from both perspectives, what was like hitting off each other? Are you watching it?
go for it.
Yeah, well, I'd been approached by Paul to come in and play this role of Silver Tooth Jack, which it was Jack to start with, but I had this idea of this sort of Essex hard guy that was actually quite hard, but saw himself a bit more harder than he was. So yeah, I thought he'd have some silver teeth and he'd have this sort of like lisp, because the teeth are clearly fake silver teeth, but he just keeps up this appearance. So I wanted this sort of kind of serious element to it or whatever. And then there was obviously Chris, who was coming along and being this absolutely silent unit on set. And he just was the complete opposite outside of set. You couldn't shut him up. But we were just talking so much about career and life and the industry and things like that. And after the end of each day, having a couple of beers with Bannerman and things like that and people like that. It's just what makes a set a good set. The film can be good or the film can be rubbish. If you're on it with people that are good to work around and be around, then that's all you can ever ask for, really. I don't think any of us really care about reviews or irrelevant awards that this industry seems to love at the moment for indie films.
And he's hit the nail on the head there. It's I genuinely think that 24 Little Hours, you know, low budget, shot very quickly, just happens to be. I do really think it's one of those lightning in a bottle kind of moments, because sometimes you can get on with everybody and there's nice directors that you get on well with, which is quite rare as well, because it's quite difficult, especially in such an intense environment on such a short shoot. But with Paul Knight, he had a clear vision. He projected that vision to us very clearly. We knew exactly what we needed to do. We also had Richard Oakes behind the camera, who is different class. And then for myself and Neal get to work alongside people like Mark Bannerman, Danny Midwinter, who are talents that we'd both, kind of grown up watching. So it was a pleasure for us, but we just, we're lucky to be sat here together now because we got a genuine friendship out of it. We got on, we understood each other, we were at a similar level in the industry, similar goals. So we were. I still feel very lucky to have been a part of it, and the fact that it's just got full distribution this week. I think we can say that now as well. They're signed and done with Kaleidoscope, which is a huge achievement for a film such a low budget. And to get the release that they're going to get, and they're still negotiating with multiple offers, I hear, for an international distribution as well. Huge, and huge for me and Neal as well, as friends that have become so close since then, to get the movie that we got to do together, to get the release that it's going to get. It's a big deal. It means a lot to you. Of course it does. And also, as a friend of Neal, I'm really proud of his performance in it. I'm really proud of what we all did in it. I'm really proud of Paul. I'm really proud of Richard. And
Diane as well, who put in so much work,
and that can't be ignored as well. And she doesn't get mentioned enough. Diane Knight, Paul Knight's wife, she's probably the best PR person I've ever come across.
I've seen somebody retweet some of my name in it as well.
She's just a genius at it. Not only the times that she does it, what she says, how she does it. She's also just very supportive to us as well as actors. It was. We didn't get to meet her until the first screening, but we all felt like we knew her so well because she'd been, and what's so rare as well is when we only did their film, they would find our old films. When Black Site was being released, they were retweeting and putting promos out for both of our movies, other films that we've done. That's very, very rare.
She came down to Tugos, her and Paul as well, for support, and that's... for the West End premiere with that, it's
hugely rare. That they have no need, and we don't expect that from directors of films that we've done to go and even care about other projects that we've done, but they did, and that means a lot. As an actor, that means a lot. And whatever happens with this movie, and whether we get to work together again, it's something I'll never forget.
It's a huge thing at the moment in the indie scene. There's a lot of love at the moment with certain directors and sort of groups of people of the love for each other, and because it is such a hard thing to sort of succeed within as either a director, actor, performer.
You have to kind of fight for each other. You have to kind of fight for each other and get each other's back.
There's not much to be made in it, really. It's not like Hollywood throws 10 million at a film.
If we were doing this for the money, guys, we're in the wrong trade.
Be in stock exchange or a male prostitute.
Oh, you'd make a lot of money, Neal.
More from that,
Back to that movie again.
But I know what you're saying, because we've been speaking back and forth with Paul and Diane for some time since Landscape was finally getting its sort of release, and I was asked to check it out and see if I would be kind enough to give it a cheeky little review and everything. And you know what, for everything that went on behind the scenes and everything, like I enjoyed the movie and I loved what Paul had done, and I could see that there was a director there who clearly wanted to make something. But then we kind of got entwined in Paul and Diane, and you're right, Diane she's a one-woman PR army. She's so fucking good. And we
really is.
We finally get
she somehow just seems to get the industry, and everybody in the industry responds to her, which is so rare. I've got to say as well, because I just haven't touched upon this when we spoke about earlier films, that you said, I got the pleasure and opportunity to work with Lucinda Rhodes and Jeet Thakrar earlier on.
Oh, yeah.
And Hooligan Legacy and Undercover Hooligan. And I don't feel like I mentioned it enough that they gave me one of the biggest opportunities I had in the industry. And we haven't had the opportunity to work together again since. But I owe a hell of a lot to those two as well. She literally, from after Who Needs Enemies with Peter Stelliano, I hadn't done anything. And they pulled me out and gave me 2 full leads. Which at the time I didn't think I'd ever get again. So I do have to give them a nod as well. Those and good luck to them. They've gone on and done Robin Hood, and they've got 2 films I think shooting this summer, and another huge one later on in the summer as well. But I do owe a lot to those people, and that's because people that had worked with me, like I say, very rarely from an audition or a reading perspective, more from people that had worked with me and kind of believed in me, which is you have to tip your hat to.
It's awesome to hear that, because you get this. For the longest time, we've been like, we do the podcast, we love films, indie film is kind of where my heart lives and all that, but I always had this vision that independent film was this cutthroat thing where people were just like, you know what, I'm doing my project, I don't want to know about your project, go away kind of thing. But it's amazing to hear from you guys that it's not all like that, That
We still do that. Yeah. Yeah, we don't care.
If we're not on a podcast, we speak very different.
I know those bits.
Oh, he's doing that again. Oh, look at him. Oh. That thing about Lucinda and everything, that was, how have you not cast me for your next film?
Lucinda's name is a name that keeps popping up.
Can get drowned out by that kind of thoughts, and there's no place for bitterness in this. There's no place for jealousy in this sort of industry. I think earlier on, when you're starting out, you're hungry and you want to do everything and you want to be a part of everything, but you realize also you're not right for every role. You're not right for every film. Everybody's got Neal is, but everybody's got their own path as well. Everybody's got to do their own thing, and genuinely, excuse my language, bullshit aside, I wish all of them the best. I hope they all make it, because there's nobody I've worked with in the last sort of 5 or 6 years that I wouldn't want to and don't think deserve to get to the top. I really don't.
That's
Just got a room up there at the minute.
Not for you, Neal. Not for you.
My head doesn't through the door to this casting.
What do you guys? Actually, on that, Neal, that's just reminded me of a little message you sent me when we were talking on Facebook chat a little bit about hosts. Sending messages saying that you were on set and you were pretty much getting out acted and out beasted. Whose performances do we need to look out for? I mean, everybody, but whose performances in particular on that movie are we looking out for?
Well, Neal Ward.
No, because you messaged me and you were like, dude, I'm having to up my game on this movie.
Yeah, it was a thing for me, because there was myself and Samantha Loxley. She's the co-lead with me as Lucy and Jack, and she's just got this incredible presence, and the camera does something ridiculous to her, and she's not even. We don't say much, so we're in a lot of the film, most of the film, but we don't say much. We start off as this normal couple, and then something happens which I can't say, unfortunately, but that becomes something happens, and we hardly say anything. Samantha hardly says anything, but her presence on screen, there's 2 key scenes that happen that are just horrific, and the way that she does this. And then there's another woman, Jennifer Preston, I think I've got that right, I've not thought about that for ages, but she actually blew us all away with this deliverance of a monologue sort of thing, and a very long speech that she does, which just absolutely blew me away. Lee Hunter as well. He was in Homeless Ashes, I think, as well. Yeah. He's been incredible on that whole shoot. The things that we made him do. He'll say this himself if you ever get to speak to him, but it was probably an horrific 6 or 7 days for him. Five days, I think he was in, maybe 6. But yeah, the things we made him do for the glory of the camera is insane. And my sister in crime, Nadia Lamine, she's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. Everyone on that shoot was the whole cast is very strong. There's Frank Jakeman as well. I don't know if you're aware. Do you know Frank from Invasion? Invasion of the Not Quite Dead.
The name rings a bell. The name does ring a bell.
He was in Game of Thrones as well, the last episode, so that was a pretty big thing for him. But yeah, he's incredible. Everybody on that cast was incredible, right the way down to Buddy Skelton, who's a 12-year-old actor, who was absolutely incredible on the thing. But check out Frank Jakeman. Yeah, he's in the film Invasion of Not Quite Dead with me, and he's the head of the family in Hosts. So yeah, everybody in that film was just ridiculous, and because again, it was for me, it was more a lot of the things I've done. I've been used to sort of being in with a few great actors, or maybe 1 or 2, and myself. So you're sort of always quite up near there. But then when you're working with people that are just as ridiculously talented as you are yourself, if not more, I can say. Now, I hate saying that, but there's different kinds of actors, and there was a different caliber I was working with this time with Hosts. So even just as an indie film, the talent there is incredible. So yeah, I was panicking, thinking, "Oh God, I'm not going to be the best thing in this."
It did make me laugh when you sent me that. It was like, mate, I'm having to up my game big time here, and I'm like, I'm sure you'll be fine.
I mean, people say about acting, and is it hard doing things? Is it hard playing these kind of characters like I've done, like these sort of hard nut, the unhinged sort of people? And I go, no, I'm not going to sit here and go, there's a long process for me, or a method, or I delve into this. It sort of comes effortlessly in the fact that it's just a second nature sort of thing. Like Ronaldo as a footballer, it was him. It happens, and the level that I put out is just as it is, and I don't find that it's a hard process. Maybe pushing for sort of deeper roles when I get them, then it'll be required. But at the moment, it just sort of always comes naturally. And these guys seem to do it as well. Those they were just effortless.
Whereas I have to graft. I have to graft.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
It was a great experience. It was long and hard, but yeah, it's going to be so rewarding. And we can't. Well, Richard and Adam are very proud of it. I am. I think everyone involved in that knows what that film's about and what it's being done for. A budget of $25,000. It's got distribution already sorted from what Adam wrote with the script and through contacts of ours. Yeah, it's. It's going to be interesting. It's going
to be. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with this one. What are you working on, Kris? What have you got coming up shortly? Obviously, I Love My Mum is currently doing the festival runs and doing the theatrical run. It's doing great things. Dom is a one-man PR machine on that. He's doing brilliant things with that. But what else have you...
That's with Matt Hopkins and whatnot. They've taken that over and got it into some festivals, and it's winning awards left, right and centre. Same as Black Site as well, winning some amazing awards. It's done all the circuits, and God knows how many awards Black Site's got now. Really proud of them both. As I say, I don't feel as if I had as much ownership of I Love My Mum as the others, because it's such a small role. I'm just proud to have been in it. So, like I say, the fact of working with Kirsten Waring and up and coming actors that are in that movie, it was just a pleasure to be a part of it. But I'm really looking forward to 24 Little Hours come out, and Black Site's very close to its UK release as well now. It's done a full American release out there and done incredibly well, more than I think anybody could have hoped. So yeah, I'm looking forward to both of those. At the moment, as I say, I spoke to you privately both. I've kind of taken a little bit of a step back, maybe to work out exactly what kind of route I want to take, which is a difficult one. It's a difficult. It's a very difficult industry. You've got to be fully on your game and at the top of your game to be your best at it. I maybe had a bit of a blip in my career after those films because I didn't know what was next, and kind of withdrew from my agent and even took myself off Spotlight for a little while as well because I didn't really know what was next and what I wanted to do. And I'm just coming out of that now. I'm kind of feel secure in myself, and I'm ready to take on the next project. I actually straight away, very luckily, have just got the lead villain role in a western. That's
nice.
That's which again I don't think anybody would have pictured me doing before. Certainly not myself. Which is shooting in September. I can't say too much about it, but I'm really really proud of it. The script, I can't. The best way I can describe it is stunning, beautiful. I kind of expected it to be like a typical Western. Honestly, it's just incredibly written. It's I don't even know if I can say who's done it. It's from a Daniel Simpson. I'll say that. I think it's Transition Films, but it's still in very early development. But I know that it's ready to go. Also, we have I'm actually got July taken up. I'm actually away. And Neal is shooting with Rick Roberts of a World War II movie called Point of No Return. I was originally supposed to be a part of it. I had conflicting diaries, if you will. I've managed to get a few days aside and gone back to Rick and said, "Look, can you still get me in? Can I do something? Obviously I'm not going to have a role like I did, but let me do something. If you can give me something that has maybe a bit of impact, that'd be great." And he's given me a scene, so we'll call it a cameo, but it's something that really excited me. certainly not something that I would have done. Certainly not a step back either. It's a small role. It's a day's work. But as you say, like with
Tasty part, isn't it?
it's a tasty part. Like I say, money doesn't motivate me. Being the lead doesn't motivate me, but impactful does.
Yeah.
So I believe you can still make a huge impact in a small role. So I've absolutely accepted it and jumped all over it. So I'm going to go and do that as a sort of stopgap in between. But that'll be my first thing back on set and back on as an actor. And then let's see what's next.
Well, it's good to hear you getting back in and you're going for it, and it kind of. Do you think it could have possibly been a thing of you were playing hooligan, you were playing villain? I've had a drink. You're playing the villain, you're playing a hooligan and all that, and then all of a sudden you've got this role where you're playing an elder god, and then straight after that you're back into sort of a mute villain kind of role, and then you're straight into like a campy nightclub MC. Is it sort of like what are people?
As I say, you hit the nail on the head. I'd been sort of typecast, I think. I'd managed to step out of that. I got to play a role that I think, this sounds really deep, affected me probably more than I would have liked it to. It probably took a little bit more out of me than I originally thought. And the anticipation of those sort of films coming out, when you've done something so out of your comfort zone, the anxiety that can cause you before they actually release as well, of what people's reaction will be to that can hit you quite hard. Also, I just shot 24 Little Hours, so straight off the back of it, straight into I Love My Mum. So I was pleased, I was happy, I was okay. I'd done a sci-fi, a comedy, another action movie. I was kind of happy. I had no other need for anything else. Like I say, I don't do this for money. There's a million things I could have done in between. And other stuff I could have accepted, and nothing against all those other projects, but I just didn't feel they were right for me. And if you take things that aren't right for you, or that don't trigger your passion or make you tick, it's not right to take them. I don't think. I don't do this to be famous. I don't do this to be rich. I do this to leave a body of work that I'm proud of, and that's the only reason that I do it. I genuinely. I'm a salesman anyway, so I can always just go straight back to that. I've been selling cars, I sell furniture, there's lots of other things. I have a son. I'm happy and content in life. I have no need for it in that sense, and unless it completely ticks all my boxes and makes me, excited and really want to do it, I won't accept it, and it's as simple as that.
Awesome.
Well, it's gonna, if you're not fully behind it, it's gonna look like you're just half-arsing it, isn't it?
I will never phone in a performance. Yeah. I will never do that, and I'll never want to sit in a premiere of a film and sit there and because I just feel guilty. It's not fair, because there'll be people there, actors like I was in the early stages of my career, that would have given everything for their role. So, who am I to phone in a performance? So I won't do that. And Black Site was the opposite of that. I gave absolutely everything for that role. 24 Little Hours, exhausted me. So proud of it. So happy. If I have to wait another year or 2 years until there's another one that comes along that I want to do, I'll wait. It's as simple as that.
And as an actor, I mean, my last year or so has been, I've not had to audition for a role. So that's sort of always been every actor's, when you're not having to go and do the grind of turning up to auditions and preparing a speech or preparing a script to be offered, it's always like it's a great thing to have, and that's something that you always sort of cherish as an actor. And when that stops happening and you're back being sent for auditions, you're kind of like, yeah, it's time to step back up again. And again, with offers, you can always turn offers down. You're not turning up to an audition for a BBC thing that you want, because 9 times out of 10 it's great exposure and it's good money. But you're being able to look at scripts and productions, aren't you, and sort of go, I want to be a part of that, and I want to do it because it's good. And
also, as well, I'll be completely honest, there was a couple of things in that period of time that I did really want. And up until a couple of years ago, I'd never really gone for a part that I hadn't got. So in that period of time that I've taken the break from, there was a couple of roles that have come up that I did really want and really did tick the boxes, and I didn't get them. for whatever reason, like I said to you earlier on, sometimes I don't read well. Sometimes I don't audition as well as I'd like to, because I can't possibly give you what I'd give you on set after 6 months of preparation.
Yeah.
So, and I'd maybe lost them, and and deservedly probably. So that kind of hits you a little bit. That kind of, you have to take those on the chin. Someone's come in on their game and given a book much better reading than you have, and you have to take that on the chin. So you have to take a step back sometimes. You have to just reassess things. Yeah, you can't do this game if you're not fully on point. You really can't. Confidence is a huge part of it. It really is.
Someone out there that will do it better on the day, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you really do have to be. You have to be very confident to play a leading role, lead villain, or a lead part. You have to be tip top. You really do.
Yeah.
You have to be on it. You have to be firing on all cylinders. And if you're not, it shows.
There's jobs at Lidl.
There's always a job.
Fucking hell. Oh, no, never
So
that.
when it comes to going to auditions and what have you, then do you guys have a go-to monologue or what have you that you? That you
absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's a very strange. The best way I can describe it to you. Imagine a. Well, he probably.
I've only ever done two.
He probably does. Like I said to you, I always like Neal by mouth. So I used to have that part of Neal by mouth, and that's what was my go-to. But generally now they'll send you a scene and they'll want you to read that scene, especially on self-tapes and things like that. But yeah, it's like saying, imagine Cristiano Ronaldo, how good he is as a footballer. It doesn't matter how good he is. If you go, right, you've got 2 minutes, show me how good you are. What do you think you do in those 2 minutes?
I think you'd find
It bounce off his head, it bounce off his shoulder, it go all over the place, and they go, oh, he looks a bit shit to me.
And he'll book a hotel.
But it's nothing compared. But it's nothing compared to what he would be like in a game, right?
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
So what you have to do is, what I've had to learn to do is try and hone that skill into that 2 minute period, to try and give them a glimpse of what, not even what I think it is, what I think they want to see or how they might picture it.
I think a lot of actors, though, they have this perception of auditions that they're there to impress or fail, and if they don't do either of those, they take it away with them and blame themselves and internalize it. Whereas it's all about perception. So if you've got two casting people there and a director, they may not like what you did, but there may be 400, 500 people, if you'd have put them in that position, that would have loved it.
Yeah.
So it is all about how the people see what you do. But obviously they need their specific for what they want to show in their film. Doesn't mean to say that any actor is bad at what they've done, unless they are really terrible. But then also that goes back to the Black Site audition that I did there. That was something I did, a perception of what I thought they wanted. I happened to be what they wanted at that time. It could have quite easily been one of the 500 other guys that they'd chosen. I couldn't have felt bad about not getting that role because of the talent that was really involved in that film. So you just have to take it on the chin.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So go on then, Niels, what's your go-to?
My go-to, I actually
You've
do it
been
yesterday.
You've been dying to ask that.
As of yet. Stephen Jeffries, The Libertine, John Wilmot. Johnny Depp played it famously.
Yeah, you like that one?
I do.
He doesn't know it. He doesn't know it.
No, I love The Libertine.
No,
Yeah. So
Chris
I
does know it. Kev doesn't know it, but Chris does it. I'll be completely honest.
Put Johnny Vegas in it. It's hilarious.
If I see Johnny Depp's name, I tend to just go, nah, you're all right.
Oh, Kev.
This is back when he was good, though. This is back when he was good, before he went a bit mental. But
When was that?
he was an idol of mine for years. He was my first idol. It went weirdly from Johnny Depp to Kevin Bacon to Tom Hardy. So it's kind of like it's a weird little.
I don't know how you get Kevin Bacon in there. Johnny Depp to Kevin Bacon to Tom Hardy. That's a stretch.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. I mean, Kevin Bacon, probably not because he was the world's greatest actor, but just because it was just something about him, his persona and whatnot was quite inspirational, in that you can be him and still get work.
Is it Footloose? Be honest.
No, it was Flatliners
Oh, Flatliners, yes, but also Kiefer's in there.
and
So.
Tremors, obviously.
Oh, Tremors. Oh,
But no, actually, I tell a lie. There was the film. It was the film where he played the paedophile.
The Woodsman.
one of my
Fantastic
favourite
film.
films ever. It's an incredible film, that is.
Fantastic film.
Yeah. But The Libertine comes. I did it for my drama school auditions back when I was 18. and it got me to the finals of RADA and shortlisted for Bristol. So it stuck with me for ages. And my only other monologue I've ever done before that, obviously the classical one, but they don't count, was Clockwork Orange. So there's a pattern in the kind of characters I enjoy playing. And I had to do it again yesterday. I got critiqued quite heavily on it, which, was good. It was good. But it's a direct address monologue, so you don't just talk to thin air. So there was a panel of people, and I aimed it right at them to make them feel uncomfortable, and I think they didn't quite like it.
Right.
'Cause it talks about shagging and
See, that actually sounds like a monologue I could get behind.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's fun. Again, I'll send it to you. You can have a laugh at it. But yeah.
So what do you have? What do you have on the boil coming up?
Me. At the moment, it's Rick Roberts' film Point of No Return.
Yeah.
So I've got the lead role in that, playing a German soldier. Host will be on its way to being sort of first edit, probably by the end of that. So how quick those guys move. I mean, you see how quick they move with stuff.
God.
There will probably be a rough cut of the whole film by the end of the year.
Oh yeah. I'm fully expecting that.
With the score behind it, probably already as well. Ben's working on it at the same time. There's not much. It's one of the things Kris was talking about. There's sort of like there's a dry up period.
Yeah.
I would happily hop onto something and do something if I feel it's good and it's worth my time and I'm worth their time. But it's the dry patch. There's a lot of people doing this industry, so it's already a scramble as it is.
Yeah.
There's plenty of actors at our level that are currently doing stuff and doing more things, doing less things, and it's. I'm aiming to.
It's tough, guys. It's tough out there. Thing is,
it's tough. I can't pay my bills.
You can accept. Yeah, none of us can pay our bills. You can accept everything, or you've got to have a little bit of integrity and kind of stick to what your principles are and stick to what you think's right. We could all say yes to everything, but like I say, early on, you can say yes to everything and just do it all. At this stage,
that's what Michael Caine did.
Yeah, you just can't. Just can't do it now. At this point, you really can't. There's. Both of us are on a path that we like to feel that we know where we're going. So you either have to have some principles and integrity and stick to that, or you sell out and do the stuff that you wouldn't do. And I don't think either of us are prepared to do that.
It's a weird one as well with having films out. Like Kris has got 3 out. I mean, I know I've got 2 Graves out and then 24 coming. But even from 2 Graves, I was thinking that's out now. That's Netflix. The phone will be ringing. Either my agent's disconnected her phone, or I don't know, or my mobile's blocked, but no one's calling. So, which again, you'd think with something like that on such a big platform that everyone would watch. Because I remember my friends sending me pictures of my face on the screen on Netflix, going, "My God, just seen your face on this."
You've made it.
That's all the way up north. And, it must have been popping up on a lot of English Netflix accounts. So people would have watched it purely on the guy because it says that maker of Harry Brown. Kathy Tyson, all these big names in it. People would watch it, and again, we would expect that to sort of give even casting directors watching it to go, oh, this guy, bring him in. But I've had nothing. So it's, again, I get more auditions when I've not got anything out.
That's what you'll get from us, guys. You'll get honesty. We'll be honest. We're not going to pretend.
That's why I've been looking.
It's a very tough industry. It's a very tough industry. As I say, if we wanted to do this for money, we're in the wrong game.
I'm off to sign on tomorrow, so it's.
That's why, I was really getting Kris on is it's been something we've been wanting to do for a long time. But when he messaged me earlier to say, oh, by the way, Neal might be here. Would you mind having Neal on as well? I'm thinking, well, that's going to be one of two things. It's going to be super honest, or it's going to be a train wreck.
And train wreck it was.
We got a bit of both.
We've had worse train wrecks.
Time, I believe.
Oh. We've had way worse.
I hated that I did a podcast thing and I just absolutely hammered the industry.
It's only because they gave you so much alcohol while you were shooting.
Yeah, I drank so much. I'd never done one before, so I was just drinking old-fashioned.
Never shoot a podcast in a bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to do this podcast in a bar. I would love
There's
that.
an idea. Bring us up to Berwick, and we'll come and sit in a pub with you and do it.
Get yourselves up to Berwick.
Yeah, you just made
Sorry, Berwick.
you just made Chris cringe when you said that. By the way.
I just did the sideshow Bob Nice.
Border of Scotland. They don't know if they're Scottish or English. They're not sure.
But you know,
Preston next week. Is that any close?
No.
no, that. So
3 hours.
So anyway, you guys, we're not gonna take up too much more of your time. We're gonna start wrapping this up.
Sure,
but
okay.
you have got a few films between you, Chris. You've got 3 films between you right now. Neal, you've got a couple more coming out as well. This is it's an exciting time to see what you guys are up to, and I'm sure when these movies start proper dropping, and people get to see them, the work's gonna come flooding. And you're saying they're not calling you right now, but they will start calling you.
It's when this episode comes out, right?
I think that's what it
They're
is.
not calling for the right stuff. What it is, I hope to come back and see you in a year, and we'll come back some more exciting stuff. Because as I say, I've been very lucky, and so has Neal, to be in, to work with some unbelievable people, and to be in some amazing films. Some really good stuff. I've got some, 3 quality movies out this summer.
You have.
I've got nothing to complain about. But also, as I say, like I said to you before, I'm not prepared to do anything below standard of that, unless it's forward, it's backwards. So, and that's how I'll always see it.
So speaking of that, have you been practicing your Western accent?
Were you expecting me to do it then?
Oh, yeah.
Like I was going to do it. I'm not a performing monkey. But yeah.
What's the fucking point of that?
I think you'll be really surprised. How can I? He's like a dirtier version of Leo in Django.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's
I
how
like that. I like that.
He's pretty despicable, this guy.
He's all that kind of southwestern.
He'll do it. He's not Welsh. I've gone kind of deep south. Deep south of it. But he's a good old chewing tobacco, teeth missing, kind of dirty, old-fashioned cowboy that we all love.
Nice.
I do love a good Western.
Yeah.
And I want you to, and the way I'm going to play him is every time he comes on screen, you don't know whether to throw up or just, keep your eye on the screen.
Well, I'm sure once this podcast hits, the phone will be ringing. So because we have a reputation of usually breaking them in the wrong way, but we have a reputation
Don't
for
say breaking.
Yeah.
We make them or break them.
Can I just say, absolute pleasure to talk to you guys. Thank you so much for having us both on.
Honestly, man, this has been a long time coming for us. It was things have been getting in the way for me and Chris over the last year, but this was definitely a conversation that needed to be had, because when we had you on, I felt bad when we did the Civil War one, because we did totally railroad you, but we didn't really have a chance to sit down.
Kind of dropped me in it with the Civil War, but yeah,
we just didn't have a chance to sit down and talk about you as an actor either, so it was like we needed to get that done, and we needed to speak to you properly. And these are like
always a pleasure, guys. Always a pleasure.
These are 3 perfect movies to do it with.
Honestly, you're an asset to the industry, and always a pleasure to talk to you both.
Oh, you.
I wish more people said that.
You are an asset to the industry.
Thank you.
See, though, Neal, we all know that you are now a performing monkey, so that doesn't mean anything.
You've got him now, right? You understand.
Got my wish list on Amazon if anyone wants to.
If anybody wants a Welsh cowboy, you're laughing.
I've heard Neal
Great
do.
to speak to you guys. Thank you very, very much.
It has been.
Great to see both your faces. They're not going to have it on the podcast, but great to see both your faces. Both looking really well. Lovely to see you.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
We'll get you back to your regularly scheduled podcast in just a minute. But we wanted to introduce ourselves. I'm Jason.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Blake on this highly produced advertisement.
That's right. It's the History of Bad Ideas, a.k.a. Hobie. You can find us on Twitter at Bad Ideas Podcast and on Facebook at the History of Bad Ideas. But if you like a podcast roundtable with 3 to 5 guests, usually every week, depending on sick leave, talking about all things geek, including movies, TV.
I ain't getting paid for this shit.
Blake bitching about something and ranting, and comic books and anything else that we can think of. We have a top 5 list every week, along with a box office news, and somehow we have listeners, so they send us some feedback we answer every week. You can find us on iTunes,
Stitcher,
Facebook,
Spotify,
and any good podcast app, because if you can't find us on that podcast app, it's not a good podcast app.
Damn straight. Roger says goodbye.
Goodbye.
So that was Neal Ward.
That was Neal Ward and Kris Johnson.
And, oh yeah, Kris was on there too. Man, I was buzzing about that.
I know you were. You started yammering away.
He's awesome though, isn't he?
Yeah,
Like
he is.
he's a proper genuine bloke. I mean, the two guys, Kris and Neal, came on the show. I knew straight away it was going to be a pretty open and honest sort of like. So I was trying to stay away from like the Piers Morgan life stories and stuff like that. But I knew
Because we're not cunts.
Yeah, we're not cunts, and to be fair, I'd be the one that cried. They wouldn't
you'd
cry.
definitely be the one that
They
cried.
wouldn't cry. I'd
Yeah.
cry. So that was great having them on. I absolutely loved having Neal and Kris on. Two absolutely genuine actors in their own right and in the field, and they're going to do great things. I feel like once these films start dropping, Two Graves is already out, Black Side's doing its thing, I Love My Mum's in the theatres, Hosts is on its way. Bloody
Can't wait to see Hosts. And obviously 24 Hours.
Host is going to be amazing, but I think for me right now, I've seen Black Site. I've watched it about 3 or 4 times, but for me right now, I'm really looking forward to seeing 24 Little Hours. That's got my interest, and it has had for a while. So Paul Knight, if you're listening, get it sent over.
Yeah, it'd be really nice if you did.
How are we supposed to do advanced reviews if we don't have the movie?
Yeah, but we're press, goddammit.
Exactly.
But then he doesn't know who you are, so...
Well, no, he knew who I was. I think he did. Yeah, which is probably why he avoided me. I think he knew who I was.
I would avoid you.
He just tried to pretend that he didn't know. Awesome, amazing, really good chat, really good interview. We will be back.
We will.
Who do we got lined up? Do we got anyone lined up?
We've got a couple coming.
Oh yeah, I have a couple of emails I need to send you.
Oh shit.
Yes, because
You've
we
sent me other emails that I've not...
yeah, there's a couple more now. They keep coming in. They're like, dude, can we come on the podcast? I'm like, no. I'm like, we're very busy doing nothing. So we need to get around to them.
Yep, we will.
Yep.
We will.
Well, let's go.
Mm-hmm.